Hey there! I'm here to introduce Ember Knight and their amazing new show, uh, as well as their upcoming album, which we'll be talking about at length during this interview.
Hello? Got a lot of fingers, but I don't know why. Got a lot of fingers, but I don't know why. Sit on the ground, reach for the sky. Got a lot of fingers, but I don't know why. How are you?
I'm doing very good. I just came back from a nice session of card game playing, but currently getting ready to explore some of the elements in your work, which is mostly the TV show and the upcoming album, as well as the
Oh,
album
yeah.
The Disappointment Cowboy. I did get a chance to watch King of LA with a lot of friends, and that was just a blast.
Really?
My, my favorite moment was when we had finished watching both episodes of the Ember Knight show, and then they were like, "Oh, what's the movie about?" And I said, "Oh, it's called The King of LA," and everyone just went, "Oh."
They
um,
know something even I don't.
well, a lot of your work does overlap. You have, I had people noticing already that the line you use comes back in the second episode.
hmm
I read about the reason why you were wearing the lion costume. Has it become like a symbol of something else for you now?
I almost never wear that outfit anymore because it makes me feel physically sick if I put it on. Because the time period I was wearing it in was like, I was so fucking poor and nobody gave a shit about me, and I was like doing sex work at the same time, but like not in a healthy way. And so like that that outfit was like a suit of armor. Um, but now if I put it on, my body feels like I need a suit of armor, like I have something to be afraid of and that I need to put it on. So like I just I don't even wear it.
Well,
I
you
think it's gonna get
gotta,
destroyed. I think it's gonna get like burned in a fire.
yeah, just to make that another recipe where you just put in like bird's lion suit. But now you have
Exactly.
your blue suit, the one you got from suing the strip club you went to, and
hmm
you're able to embody the character of Ember Knight with while wearing the suit. I wanted to ask about the advice, the lessons that you give in your show. I think I already sent you two that I really love, but how do you go about figuring out what the lessons are going to be, what people are going to learn, whilst also making sure it's just crazy and absurd and comedic?
Yeah. Yeah. They take me a really long time to write because, like, I don't know. Like the point of the Ember Knight show is that these are concepts that are supposed to be very easy and very like, oh, this is what we teach preschoolers. This is so obvious. This is basic. And then you grow up and you learn about irony and you learn about like how complex life is, and you get mean and you get cynical and you get funny and you get like sexual and violent, and you get all these new ingredients.
Lots of parking tickets along the way.
Yeah. And there's no acknowledging that those things that you were taught that you're supposed to always do are actually really fucking hard. Like when you're up against the real world and you're an adult and you've grown, into responsibility, suddenly like sharing and telling the truth and taking turns, these things are like actually very complicated and difficult to execute.
Yeah,
Um, and
the
like
thing of
even more, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that the way that you use lessons that are really difficult to implement when you kind of enter how complex the world is, you have a way of dealing with, I would say the really tough good stuff that you can do, and all of the shitty stuff that was easier. And that's the apologies that you give, and that you also put inside of the disappointment cowboy. The way that you incorporate them. I just feel like it goes through every single checkbox I would have for the most like fulfilling apology. And I was wondering, is that something that you feel is necessary to learn, to give, to to go through?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of in a post heroes and villains world, um, and holding on to the idea that there are good people and bad people is like really holding us back from doing the things that we need to do save the planet and save each other. And yeah, I think that like I want to watch narratives, and I want to see narratives that are about a person making a mistake and digging themselves out of that shit, so that there's a model for that. So you're not just like, oh, if I make a mistake, I should kill myself, I should disappear, I should vanish. Or if I made a mistake, I need to hide that mistake from everyone. Like, you do make mistakes and you are wrong, and also you're right. You know, there's a
You're
part of
able
you that's still
to
right,
own
and
up to
it's
it.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
a
you got to work through that.
amazing
You
way
know?
to see it, honestly. And I think that's what makes the show, especially for all the people that are watching it, so like it really touches at your heartstrings. Like it's able to give you all of these crazy scenes, and then at the end you really feel for the character. And the apology you give to the guy who does puppets, I'm really bad with names, which I guess
Jared.
is kind of like
Yeah.
Jared, yeah. um, he I'm so happy that he accepted the apology in the episode, because it was just
Yeah,
much.
and you know, that's not guaranteed. It could have been written a different way where he doesn't accept it, and it's like it's the same. You still have to give a real apology. You don't know if it's going to be accepted, but you
Yeah,
still got
and
to do it.
that is as well. In the Disappointment Cowboy, the apology he gives, he says, you don't need to forgive me, this is just something that I need to admit to. And that's a great way to own up to your mistakes. That's really
Yeah.
onto something a little less hardy. There's a lot of like recurring funny gags that you put from your previous sketches. Do you kind of see your work as continuous? There's like the
Totally.
Ralph's stuff. There's all of the times you went inside of the courthouse, which I really want to get into soon, because that is hilarious. Actually, might as well get into it now. There's one time where you go to the courthouse, and one of the guys in like the speakers gets a guy comes over, and they both stand up and just leave immediately. Do people do people recognize you now that you go, or?
I think that they do. You know, I don't know, because when I get up to that podium, I get very scared. And I just have tunnel vision, and I look straight at the city council people, and I just like say exactly what I rehearsed, because there's a big timer in front of you and it's counting down. You only get 1 minute.
Oh,
And so
oh,
like
1 minute.
the
Okay,
speech
I
has
see.
to be
Yeah.
timed exactly to that. So I don't even know. But you know what I've always wanted to do? I don't know how we would do it, because there's like metal detectors and stuff, but I've always wanted to like sneak a bunch of musicians in there, so that when I go up to talk, they all like stand up and like start playing string instruments or something.
Wow, that'd be so grand, just to arrive there with a concerto behind you like that.
Exactly.
Proper king stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Just to scare him, you know?
Yeah, it's I mean, that's also great practice for all of the stand-up that you do. Or I noticed that you had this thing called Ember's Knight, which is kind of like the performative work that you usually do, as well as with Disappointment Cowboy. I guess you kind of interact with the audience a little bit in the set, mostly by freaking the shit out of them. But um, how do you uh, how do you like going through performative art, and how did that kind of show you what kind of artist you wanted to be?
It's a good question. So obviously there's no live performance right now, which has given me a lot of time to kind of reflect on it and think about it. But to go back to talking about like learning lessons on the Ember Knight show, like
Yeah, absolutely.
one of the key things about those lessons is that I don't want, I never want to be advocating like submission or following orders. So it's always got to like come from you and be pushing against anything that feels like repressive or patronizing. And I think that the time that I spent doing live stand-up, or what stand-up comedians would call performance art, but I call it stand-up, I was really exploring the boundaries of like, everyone expects this to be a straightforward relationship between me and the audience. What can I do to challenge that, that's not that's not technically illegal or technically like wrong, but in people's heads when they see it happen or when it starts to happen, they're like, oh, is she allowed to do that? Are they allowed to do that? Are we in trouble? Like, what's happening? You know, like going right up to that edge and being like, there's no wall here. Like you can put your hand right through.
You can hop on the carousel.
Exactly. And like breaking those boundaries down. So, and I don't know that this translated well when I was doing live comedy, but it's a through line in my work that I want people to think about. Like, are you being submissive when nobody's making you be submissive? Like, is it possible to be braver? Is it possible to like put your hand or your foot through an invisible wall that everyone's just agreed on and like imagine a different framework of the space around you or the society around you instead of the one that is just like told to you? Like, do you have to accept that?
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of that with the type of suspension of disbelief you have watching the Ember Knight show, because you often just crash through the streets of LA, and it's a world that you created that we believe in and are invested in, but that constantly takes us back to the real world as well. And there's a lot of needed reaching to the audience and going, do you believe this? But yeah, that's a really cool way to see your lessons as well. It's something that people need to first be okay with and then see the benefits of if they go through it. But
it all comes back to imagination. Like people think imagination is for little kids, but like every advertisement is just people trying to like take control of your imagination and tell you what to imagine. Like you can imagine something else.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you need to take that initiative.
Your second episode, Make Believe is Not Lying, such a great way to, I mean, we receive a bunch of submissions from like short stories, poetries, and things like that. And I wish that was just our our like banner. Just make believe is not lying. Send us whatever you want, you know. To your next album, if you want to talk about just the song that you released or the album in general.
Totally.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll just like throw some shit at you.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's so this album is like, I was like, you know, we've talked about two of the costumes that I performed in, and also like when I was doing sex work, and also the way that I was raised was very like traditional feminine. And I see that character or that outfit is like the color red. So then I have like yellow with the lion suit and blue with the three-piece suit, and then I have all the primary colors.
I see, yeah.
So the record is like a narrative. It was written to be a ballet, but now there's some words in it. But it's like it's a narrative of this character that's in like this haunted asylum, and they're trying to pick their favorite color, and they're being haunted by these different colors, and they can't like pick the right one. And it's just a metaphor for me like having basically like a gender and identity crisis, trying to pick which thing I want to present as and be.
And which one is true to you? That
Exactly.
the song makes so much sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. But yeah, I actually put out a track like 2 days ago that is the instrumental for the color blue, which is the blue suit persona. And if you've seen King of LA, like there's a little bit of the theme music of King of LA like woven into the end of it. And it's just a piece that's about like, you know, cheesy heroicism and like playfulness and imagination, like all the things we've been talking about that like that character embodies. But the record also has like a piece for the color yellow that's like more dangerous and uncertain that goes with the lion suit. And it has a piece for the color red that like starts out very like sexy and sensuous and becomes like very scary and upsetting. And these are just like my different, you know, my experiences of these personas, but like said through music.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of things to say about the gender identities of each, the primary color, blue and red, what they are associated with, especially personally to you. And I noticed that you were saying in an interview that this album is kind of a relation with your mother. Did you
Yeah.
did you write this as a form of catharsis for an argument or a conversation you would have with her?
Yeah, like just like the argument of our entire relationship, my entire life, which is I think that she just really wanted to fix, I don't know for sure, but I think that she really wanted to fix her childhood by giving me the perfect girlhood and treating me the way that she felt like she wasn't treated as a little girl. But like I didn't always necessarily feel like a little girl, and I didn't necessarily want the things that she wanted, and so there was a lot of like rewarding me for like becoming a woman and like just like her idea of what she wanted me to be, and it made me feel very dissonant about like if there's enough room for all of me as a person, and like I need to pick a certain part of myself to be instead of just being everything. And so I named the character after her old name because I feel like when she watches me in the world and she sees me do all these different things, it must be very confusing and upsetting for her. So the record is kind of like, it's this like multi-generational perspective of I don't know, it's many things. It's many things, but it's very much like how historically and like even now women are only supposed to be like a little bit of what a human can be. And
The ideal woman, yeah.
yeah, exactly. And like trying to break out of that and be like, no, I'm a big messy contradiction and like I'm many swirling colors and like that's okay, you know.
Yeah, so this is not only something that you clearly put your heart, body, and soul into, but has allowed you to go through so many different emotions and feelings of identity that I think just through that simple explanation alone, I can't wait for it. It seems amazing. um, there's something that I noticed you record a lot of your work at a church. Is that a church that means a lot to you?
Yeah, this record, Cheryl, was all done at the Echo Park United Methodist Church, which I attend. It's like 20 old people in this giant room. I mean, nobody's meeting now because of COVID, but I wasn't raised Christian. I was raised in like a big spiritual science of mind church. And then
okay.
I didn't go to, yeah, like just like a very, did you hear about that like cultural thing, The Secret? It was like a kind of scammy book that was about the law of attraction, and it had like a big red seal on it. But
okay.
the guy that was the head of my family church like was part of that, and like Oprah was part of it. It was whatever. It was a big weird thing. But point being, wasn't really raised in any kind of specific thing, and I'm not like a dogma person, but I found it in my mid-20s that like attending a church is like very soothing for me. And it gives me opportunities for like community service and just like being a part of a community. And like, I don't know, my pastor's gay. A lot of the people in the congregation are gay. Like, it's not your traditional idea of what a church is. And I don't believe in heaven or hell. Like, I want you to know that I am not a weird Christian person, but also in like the practice of my life, it's fun to play with the idea of being Christian because it gives a way to interact with the community around me that feels selfless and useful, essentially.
Wow. And they also have an amazing piano, apparently, where you record your music.
I have a big old piano.
Oh, big old, yeah. So how difficult did it become to use that piano when recording?
Yeah, it really sucked. I'm not a piano player. I wrote all these songs on like a really simple keyboard. And then I was like, let's record it on a grand piano. It'll be easy. How hard can it be? And it was the first time I've ever played a grand piano. And it was like, it's very hard. It's heavy. Like
Wow.
your fingers cramp up because it's heavy. It took so long. I was the only one engineering it, so I was like running to press record on my laptop and then running back and like checking all the levels and then playing it and then fucking up and having to do it like 40 more times.
Wow. Oh, so you do a lot of retakes, and you would you call yourself kind of like a perfectionist or someone that?
No, I literally just am such a bad piano player that I had to do that many to get it right one time without messing up. Yeah.
I see, yeah. Fair. No, that's I mean, doing a new instrument does seem crazy. I think there's a couple more questions. Let's see.
There was also no AC. It was a very sweaty, uncomfortable time.
Oh, I see. Yeah, the old people at least could jam out, but get their little like calisthenics. You talk about like being selfless and giving, which I guess through your show and your work, you're kind of giving these lessons, and you're trying to make people feel selfless in the way that they give apologies. Is there something that kind of transitioned at the same time as you going from what sounds like a cult to just a really nice community of people that kind of showed you this, or was your?
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
I think the quicker, better soundbite for me to give you about religion is that, like, I think religion is a big make-believe, but I don't think that invalidates it. Like, I think
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
make-believe, but make-believe is real,
Mhm.
you know? And if everybody can agree on a make-believe, then everybody can do something cool together that is bigger than if they didn't share that. And so, like, kind of the spiritual community I grew up in was very focused on the individual. It was very like, I can do anything, God is in me, like, and that can be great, but there's something about like a like a Methodist congregation that is more like, we together have an obligation to, like, the people sleeping on the streets of this city, and like if one person among us is sick, like everybody needs to focus on that. And I guess I was just really raised to be like crazy self-centered and really looking in myself for all the answers, which can be fine, but like it was very revolutionary for me to be like, oh no, everybody stops and focuses on that guy because that guy asked for prayers. Or like, you know, that even if you're not doing anything concrete, the fact that a big room full of people will stop and focus on one person's problem, like, that's just really beautiful. And that helped me be less of a little shit.
Yeah, and the ability to also kind of find answers outside of yourself. I mean, in your work, you have a lot of recurring people that clearly love. I mean, it just seems like you'll have so much fun whenever you're making anything that you do. And
We
for those
edit out all the
people,
fights.
all the sport one battles. But is there a crew that kind of followed you throughout your life that is really based off of the people that you met growing up, or did you learn to kind of accept all these crazy alternative voices that had so much good to provide?
People really kind of came to me. I don't know if when you were looking into this stuff, if you came upon Redacted Emotions as an entity, but my partner Bobby, he directs all of the stuff and he edits everything, and his company is Redacted Emotions, and our friend Mikey Santos shoots the Ember Knight show, and he's like very ride or die with this material. And I have like a few people who are very ride or die with me musically, and it does always feel like I don't have enough people. But the people that I work with are definitely people who, like, they saw something that I made and it was like a lighthouse, and they came and they were like, I want to help. What can I can I get? Because I'm not paying them. I don't have any money. But I think that's what I remind myself when I get like frustrated that I don't have any money or that I don't have a bigger reach. I just remind myself that if I tried to make something more commercial, it wouldn't really be a lighthouse to people who feel the same way and who need this material and who are like-minded. And any time that I do, someone's going to find it that it resonates with, and that person might be able to help make the next thing. So the team is really built out of people who like were attracted to what I was doing and just helped make the next thing.
Nice. Yeah, I see that there's so much of you in your work, and that it brought people later to come together and work on it as well. That's an amazing thing. Absolutely. There's a lot of songs that you said come from your childhood. Is that something that kind of influences the show as well? Like this idea that you're a continuous body of work that's constantly evolving and making new things.
I try not to reference any actual pop culture, so that the universe of what I make is very like pure. It's just things that I've come up with. So like in King of LA, like we invented Jiggly Dongs, the comedy franchise, and like, we didn't use any, well, except for Strawberry Fields Forever, which we use in the credits, but like mostly it's all stuff we make. It's all part of its own universe. And I don't know if I'll do that forever, because it's hard. But once you have those like building blocks and those materials, like then there's like a palette to work from almost, it's like when you go to paint the next picture, you have this set of paints that you've already mixed and made. And so then all the work kind of goes together if you just kind of work within that palette. So yeah, I like to think of it also because any one thing that I make is not going to say everything that I want to say. And so it helps me to think that like a future thing will finish that conversation or extend that conversation by like using the same elements or the same characters or the same theme music or whatever. It can feel big.
Yeah. So you're able to kind of retake these ideas and change them and add all the things that you couldn't say before. Yeah.
It's something that Frank Zappa talked a lot about in his autobiography, and that kind of stuck with me. Frank Zappa.
Oh yeah, okay. He did the same thing with his songs?
Yeah, he uses a lot of repetitive motifs and stuff, kind of like cycles, and he thought of it all as like one big project. I think that's cool.
His autobiography, yeah. I'll check that out.
It's really good.
I love his music. Yeah, it's my final question about something we talked about before, performance art. Do you intend on making your album into a performance piece once Corona restrictions
So glad
are
you
over?
asked. Yes. So initially it was supposed to be a ballet. And I still think that would be really cool to do like a big Nutcracker style production. But my friend Vera Drew wants to make it into a movie, like kind of like Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, so like with animation and with miniature, it would be like The Wall, but also like, like more, I don't even know what the movie ref would be, but like a very old children's movie with a lot of like miniatures and practical effects.
Kind of like the one with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
Totally. But she's really sick. You should look up her stuff. She is like an award-winning editor. She has worked on like every alt comedy thing ever.
What's her name?
Vera Drew.
Vera Drew.
Vera Drew. Right now she's taking the movie Joker and remaking it into like a queer coming of age film.
Oh, okay. Wow, that actually sounds really, really fun. Really I probably misspelled the name. Do you mind sending it by message?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Well, then I guess that's the last question of the interview. I'm going to stop recording.